The Pain in Our Head podcast contains themes of coarse language, adult themes, and the discussion of mental health themes. Some content may be emotionally challenging. If you or someone you know is at risk, please visit the description for mental health and suicide prevention contacts. Enjoy the show. What's going on, everyone?
Howdy.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Pain in Our Head podcast, the 20th episode of the Pain in Our Head podcast. How exciting. That's 5 months. 5 months of the Pain in Our Head podcast.
5 months, I'll never fucking get back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wait till we get to 12 months. 12 months. Who says 12 months? You just say year, right?
Unless you're a parent and then everything's in months for like 2 years.
Oh, yeah. When you have a kid, it's always in, months.
16 months old. Year and a half.
Yeah, that is a year and a half. Well done.
No, it's not. 18 months old is a year and a half. 16 months old would be
What'd you-
1 year and 4 months.
Oh, would you say? I thought you did say 18 months.
You can't math either.
No, I should have taken your advice and not worn headphones over the beanie because I can't hear you as well.
Good.
Anyway,
Means I can just mumble all my insults.
it's not mumble away.
Mumble rap. I hate that shit.
Mumble rap. Yeah, look, not a fan. I saw a quote the other day about mumble rap from Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. I don't know if he actually said it, but I don't know. It was on Facebook, and we can believe everything we see on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
So
Exactly. Especially in meme format.
yeah, must have been him. But yeah, no, not a fan of mumble rap. No,
Not a fan of people
no.
calling dinner tea either.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I don't know why you would. Very common, I think, in Victoria. I think a lot of people say tea for dinner. Well, yeah, it's also tea.
No, it's dinner.
Tea
is a beverage.
Tea is a beverage, but tea is also a meal.
Oh.
It's an umbrella term for several different meals consisting of food accompanied by tea.
No, it's
Yeah.
dinner.
So what about high tea?
That's different altogether. It's not dinner, is it? High tea is not dinner.
Well, no, it's not. But it's food.
No.
And
no.
tea.
No.
So that's where it comes from.
No.
So when you say tea, it's like you're eating food, usually with tea.
No.
It's an English term. Well, it is.
The whole thing was Caleb said he was going to eat some tea. And it was referring to dinner. You're not. No, tea is not.
Just another word for dinner.
Oh, it's fucking not.
It really is. We want to get to the bottom of this. So can someone please tell Christian that he's wrong? Put it in the YouTube comments.
I'm going to group chat the shit out of this later. Every time I argue,
they always back you up.
Because I'm always fucking right.
You know what I really like having for tea? Dumplings. I haven't had dumplings in ages.
Dude, I told you when I went to lunch that time and I got the dumplings, and the ones I wanted, they didn't have them. Because they came in lots of 6 and they only had like 3 left.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll get a different type. So I got a different type. And the chick came out. She's like, well, we just gave you the 3 that you wanted plus the ones you wanted. I was just like,
oh,
fuck yeah. So I got 9 dumplings for the price of 6.
That's a good day.
It's a fucking good day. It was.
You haven't had a good day since then.
Not as good as that. 3 dumplings. Like, come on.
3 dumplings.
Steamed.
Yeah, steamed dumplings. That's the way to go. Yeah, just like steamed dim sims.
Soy sauce.
Yeah, soy sauce. Yeah.
You got to eat them with
pork
chopsticks.
dumplings? You have to eat all that stuff with chopsticks. Must. It's a must.
In one go too. Like you can't half-ass.
Oh
a
yeah, there's
dumpling.
no biting. No,
it's all in.
In the gob, down the hatch. Yep.
Yep. No.
Yeah. So pork then? Pork dumplings? Yeah? Or no?
I've tried pork dumplings, beef dumplings, and then there was I want to say it was like chicken dumpling with some type of vegetable in it as well. No, it had a prawn in it.
Prawn dumplings, yeah. Prawn dumplings are good. Yeah. I don't mind prawns when they're with other stuff.
I didn't know that I enjoyed prawns. I tried them when I was young, and I was like, bleh. And quite recently, like this year recently, I ordered fried rice, and normally I just have no prawns, like no fucking prawns in my fried rice. I always order it without that, and this time it's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna just YOLO,
Let's do it.
And I enjoyed it.
Prawns and fried rice, very nice.
Been missing out for years.
Really good. Yeah.
Fried rice,
fried rice is good.
I like all the fried rice too, like Singapore fried rice, like fucking Japanese fried rice, all the different types of fried rice just get in my belly.
Yep. There's a few good places we go to around here. Yeah, really good. Yeah, fried rice, dumplings. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, I haven't eaten tonight, so
happens every week. Well, let's drag this out for as long as we can so you can starve.
Then as I get hungry, I'm just gonna get mean.
Yeah, I'm glad you added the on the end of that because I was ready to jump on. But no, good. Excellent. What are we talking about this week? What are we talking about this week? You had the amazing idea yet again, 2 weeks in a row. You're presenting
for the hat trick.
Goods. Going for the hat trick, really? Yeah, I'd love for you to come up with something, especially on the fly, because we'd love to.
Especially by the end of the episode, so that we've actually got something to say. Like, next week we're going to talk about, because I don't have something yet, and neither do you. So
neither do I. Yeah,
that's my mission. Challenge. I'm going to just sit here like a fucking idiot for the rest of the episode. I'll just play.
Yep. Yeah, we got 55 minutes to figure it out, and I'm sure we'll get there by the end of it.
Trauma dumping.
Trauma dumpling. Dumping.
I wonder what that would taste like. Emotions.
Bit of trauma in your dumpling.
Yeah. Like you just bite it.
If you have a bad dump.
It's like you bite it and like all of a sudden like your mind just gets filled with someone's trauma dump and you start crying.
Get slapped in the face.
When I was 6, I got touched by the next door neighbor. And, fuck! Can I have another dish? Like,
I'll have the fried rice, please. Yeah. Trauma dumping. Good topic.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
There is.
Yeah.
It's an important topic too.
It is a very important topic. Yeah. We haven't really talked about it.
I know that I mentioned it very early in the podcast. I was talking about a Tinder experience, how one of the people I'd matched with just proceeded to like trauma dump the shit out of me, like straight up.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's happened a couple of times, and it's a very unhealthy way to form a relationship, whether it be friendship, romantic, anything like that. It's a very unhealthy way to begin a friendship. It's like you save those stories for your close people.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no better way of saying that. It's I don't even know what I want to say, but it's just weird, right? Walking like imagine walking up to someone. I maybe it's become easier for people to trauma dump over the use of social media, which I think we're going to talk about because I think that's a main topic for what we're talking about today.
Or vague booking.
Yeah, vague booking. Maybe that's made it easier for people to trauma dump. But imagine walking up to someone just, I don't know, in the street and just start laying down some serious trauma, haven't even, they don't even know who you are, don't even know your name. It's weird, right?
It is. It
But
also comes under like an unhealthy coping mechanism as well.
yes,
That
yes,
is how some people do try to cope with their thing. They reach out to anyone and everyone they can and be like, "This is my story.
yeah.
Support me." And it's like, no, whoa, whoa,
Mm,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
mm. Well, I guess it's a way to, I guess, tell maybe when someone's not doing that great.
Mm.
That's a perfect way to realize that. So, you can do some things with that information. I think. I'm not talking about the trauma, but if someone comes up to you and they do all of a sudden start dumping a heap of trauma on you, just like Christian said, maybe remember that that's a coping mechanism for that person. Yeah, I know. Look at me go. So maybe that's their way of dealing with some things. So maybe it's just a matter of reminding them that can't maybe help them. And we've talked about this too. We've talked about being able to help someone with mental health and what's that like in our help me help you episode. So it's a two way though. So, but there is only so much that other person can do, especially.
2 for 2. Well done.
Look at that! Look at me go. Uh, especially if you don't know that person very well.
The beanie, it's heating your brain up. It's keeping it warm.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, amazing.
Name is such a shit team, but whatever.
I'll wear it.
Yeah, wear it with pride.
Mm.
It's weird colours for the gay pride, but whatevs.
You're gonna get so much trouble for that.
I'm not. I can make those jokes. I'm part of that community.
That's like, yeah. All right, I'll leave it.
Yeah.
No,
I know
no,
where you
no,
were going with that. Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah.
Yeah. As long as you
we're
know.
not going through that one.
No, we're not going through there.
So,
all right, talk us through it. What's trauma dumping?
Trauma dumping.
Let's start at the start.
Start at the start. What is trauma dumping? So we've got 2 sources this week. I feel like we could probably just use the second one. It kind of covers everything the first one does with a little bit more.
Don't even know which one I'm on.
Charlie Health.
Yeah, nope, not the one I'm on. But yep, let's.
I don't know if I sent that one to you.
Probably not.
Oh well. Okay, we'll just use the first one.
Oh well. Yeah, just wing it.
So, what is trauma dumping? Usually, trauma dumping is sharing a traumatic story in an inappropriate context without thinking about how it will affect the other person, or as a way to emotionally manipulate the listener. So, oversharing on a first date, or when you first meet someone, like you get introduced to a new friend, or even co-workers, just generally oversharing something that you would normally kind of reserve for your close friends and family or a mental health professional. It's like, I laugh, but it's really common, and it really sucks when you're the person on the receiving end of trauma dumping. And I'm not untouchable when it comes to this. I recognize that I used to be this person. I used to have a problem with trauma dumping. And mine wasn't that I was looking to get like sympathy or support. Mine was more a bragging right to me. And it was like, well, I went through this and I went through this, and look at where I am now. Like, I dealt with it. And it's like, but there's a lot of negative things that come out of sharing these stories with people. And, one of the big things with trauma dumping is that you don't know what the other person's gone through. And by sharing your trauma, you may be reigniting their trauma. And that
Yeah.
sucks. So like you could have a horrible life event that, you know, you tell everyone about because you think everyone needs to know about it. But someone may have gone through something very similar, and by you telling them that triggers
Mm.
everything all over again for them, and all they were looking to do was have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting you say that. What do you think is the appropriate place or time or whereabouts to trauma dump?
So, the appropriate places to trauma dump or the appropriate time would obviously be like, this is just my opinion, but number one would be with a mental health professional.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to.
But also, like, not to negate your close friends and family, because it, you know, like I've told you some trauma that's gone on in my life, and you've shared some trauma that's gone on in your life. But that's the key point there, though. It's it's a two-way street, and it needs to be like at the right time as well. Like we've been friends for quite a while now, and it's always a shared kind of experience when we have a conversation. It's never like a one-way street. I'm not just going, hey Caleb, guess what? And you're like, fuck, damn it.
Yeah. You're not preaching to. I think that's the difference when if you're just kind of preaching at someone and telling them about maybe one or two specific events rather than sharing in a group even. That's why there's a lot of like when you think about like support groups and things like that. That's why they're usually in a group format. And that way everyone can share, everyone gets a chance to be heard, everyone else gets to listen to everyone else's sort of stories and things like that. And that's an effective way of being able to talk about those traumatic experiences rather than doing it just straight up to someone who you may not know. Those groups, though, that's the difference where you may not actually know, people in a particular group like that in a support group on a very personal level, but it's that environment, that's a time and place that you can do that. It's an effective way of being able to do that. Rather than doing it to just someone you don't know, or someone you'd never met, or someone you're speaking to for the first time.
It's
Yeah.
something that we've spoken about in regards to the podcast as well. You know how much insight we've decided to give to the listeners and viewers in regards to our experiences and things like that. So we refuse to treat everyone that comes along to this as our mental health professional, because people don't come here to listen to uh our trauma. They're not our they're not our shrink. They're not here to help us work
Yeah.
through our things. They come here to listen to our tips and the toned down experiences. There's a very big difference between sharing that you've experienced something and then also going into massive detail. Like, I've shared certain parts of events, but not just dumped my whole story, because some of that shit's heavy. And it's like, you don't want someone to come and listen to the podcast and get triggered by an experience that one of us has had. It's like, oh shit, that happened to me. It's like, oh damn it. Now I'm thinking about it, and it's just like, oh fuck. It's like,
it's one of those fine lines. Yeah, you don't want to really. That's right. We don't use that. We don't use the podcast for that. So no, that's just really good that you brought that up, because we do actively try not to do that.
yeah, well, everyone's had bad experiences in their life, so it's not necessary to, like, this isn't the platform to be dumping that shit that's gone wrong.
Yes.
Episodes aren't fucking long enough.
No. We'd sit here for weeks. Oh, yes. So, signs of trauma dumping. I'm just going to go through a few of those as well.
Send it.
We've already mentioned a few of them. There's different sort of things. So we've already talked about like telling the same story repeatedly, sharing graphic, explicit details about trauma.
Caleb touched my bum with his finger.
Bringing up past trauma frequently and inappropriately. So it's just picking the time and the place. So talking with people you barely know, which we've already mentioned. The biggest one for me, I think, is just a lack of interest in other people's point of view and their experience as well. And you really touched on this. It's really a two-way street. And when we talk about having those conversations around mental health, it's really important to build that connection first before you start having those conversations with each other, without just going to a professional, because that's what they're there for. You can go to a professional and dump as much trauma as you like. That's kind of what within reason. I just want to say that it's not the idea.
That's right. Because
but
most professionals that you go and see will actually actively avoid allowing you to trauma dump because it's unhealthy.
Well, that's all it is. It's an unhealthy coping mechanism.
When you first go to a psychologist or some form of therapist, they'll generally ask you for like an outline of, what did your childhood look like? And most of the ones I've been to will try to like gloss you through it. It's like, what's it look like? And it's like, oh, this happened. It's like, okay, what else? It's like they don't let you go too deep into it, because then you dwell on it and it brings it all back up to the surface. And
yeah,
so it's just it's like, you're not going to a mental health professional to trauma dump. It's you're going there to learn ways to cope with the trauma.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Learning ways to cope with the trauma. It's a really, really good way of putting it. Yes, we did. So, yeah, really good. Last thing I want to mention, but I want to talk about it a little bit later on, is just the posting of, I guess, traumatic experiences on social media, trauma dumping on social media. Because that's, I guess, become a little more common now that social media is a big part of our lives, a big part of everyone's lives. It's just the way that it is now. There's no getting around it. And not everyone. Like, I can't speak for everyone. I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't actively engage in social media and that sort of thing, which is fine. But I think I'd be right in saying that a vast majority of the population is indulged in social media and somehow part of it. So, but I want to link back to that because it's a really big part, I think, of this, and just mental health in general.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't really have a huge Facebook friend circle anymore. I used to have a massive one. Like, I just accept her friend requests all the time. I didn't care. I was just like, yep, sick. And then I went through and just culled it. And it's only people that are, people that I would actively stop and have a chat to in the street, usually. I got a handful of people on there that don't fall under that category for various reasons. But generally, it's like, and before when I had like the massive following, it was like, I would do it too sometimes. I just vent my guts out on Facebook. It's just, looking back on it, you're just like, oh, you fucking cringy little bitch.
Oh, we've all done some cringy stuff and put it up on social media. Oh yeah. I've
like the classic done my fair share. Vague book posting.
Yes.
Like how many? Not to single out, like just in my experience, like how many chicks have you seen post that shit? It's just like, oh, I'm so sad right now. ... And then like you look at the comments, it's like, oh, I inboxed you. Are you okay? It's like, so fuck.
I think seen a lot of it, through earlier adolescence. And now they grow up with social media now. The younger generation. So we didn't have that, I guess, when we were going through those stages of our lives. There was no way of doing that. So it's interesting to see how it's kind of changed and yeah, very different. But that's the thing. That's why social media it's played such a big part in mental health in so many different ways. So anyway, like I said, we'll circle back to it. But
another.
What about? Yeah, sorry, you go.
A very important thing to bring up is that there is a distinction between trauma dumping and venting.
Good. That's exactly what I was going to say. Look at us
on
the same page. It's just two birds of a feather.
It's just birds of a feather. It's not two birds of a feather. It's just birds of a feather. Fuck. 27 years of your life and you've never heard it.
I'm going to keep saying it that way because I know it revs you up. Thought you were going to be the one to rev me up today. That's funny.
Anyway, so big difference between dumping and venting, because there's nothing wrong with having a bit of a bitch to your mates.
No, about
anything.
About something that happened earlier in the day or earlier in the week and yesterday, and something that you just weren't happy about. Yeah. The difference there is it doesn't turn into a traumatic experience. They're just little things that you were upset about.
I think everyone needs that bit of a debrief. Like, how often, like nearly daily, you and I have a bit of a vent at each other over something.
Oh, yeah, something small, whatever it is. Yep. I usually send you a voice message, or I'll get a voice message from you. Yeah.
Screaming at the two-way in there. Shut the fuck up!
That's so funny. It never gets old. I remember one day you were sitting. I think the voice note must have gone on for almost 10 minutes. I think you spent about 5 of those minutes yelling back into the two-way, or not yelling into the two-way, but just screaming at the two-way because it was going off every 30 seconds every time you went to say something important. Actually, this is funny because I think in that message too, you were doing a little bit of, well, no, I'm not going to say trauma dumping because you weren't trauma dumping, but you were talking about some traumatic experiences. So it made you very aggravated that every time you went to say something really important, someone would be just blaring over the two-way. Hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, it's super easy to do voice notes when you're at work because you don't have to use your phone. Like, you literally, I put my phone...
Yeah.
It's always next to me. Like, we got like a little console like thing, and I can just hit the voice note button and just keep working and chatting to the phone. Yeah. And so I don't have to pick my phone up and send messages and stuff. But
I hate texting.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. But I have to keep my two-way on while I'm at work, and it's like I'll be having a chat to Caleb, and it's just like it could be dead quiet. Oh, here we go. It's building. It could be dead quiet for like 2 hours. No one said a fucking word. And then as soon as you have to use your phone for something, every prick is on that thing. And it is infuriating. Like, one of the other guys at work, it happens to him too. He's like, no one says a word. And then the second you get a phone call, everyone's on the two-way. He's like, you'll pick your phone up. You're like, oh, hello. Yep. And like,
it always happens. It just, Murphy's Law, I don't know. Every time you're doing nothing all day, and as soon as you sit down to do something, you'll get about 5 phone calls from 5 different people about something. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, venting, healthy venting. So big difference, or a big... I guess a big difference between healthy venting and trauma dumping, some of them. We've already talked about the fact that you give both people the chance to, talk about things that are going on. So, it's a two-way street. It doesn't take up the entire conversation as well. I think that's that whole idea is you're just having a conversation. You're not just talking at the person. So there's some of the big kind of differences for me. I think about when I think about venting as opposed to trauma dumping.
Yeah. I mean, everyone vents.
Yeah, everyone has a bad day. It's just a bad day, not a bad life.
My favorite. Yeah, probably my favorite tattoo.
It's a cool tattoo, and it's got a really nice meaning behind it too.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's probably like my most meaningful tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the lovely listeners that are listening on Spotify and not watching the YouTube, and if you haven't listened to some episodes before, Christian has a new-ish. You've had it for a while now, a few weeks, a month. A new tattoo on his hand of a microphone, and it reads, "It's not just a bad day." Sorry, it's not a.
It's just a bad day, not a bad life.
Thank you. I butchered the shit out of that. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I was doing the listeners a courtesy, and I still fucked it up. Anyway, moving on. So what about? So we've talked about we've already talked about trauma dumping, the difference between that and venting. Yeah.
Go on to how do I stop trauma dumping if we're the person doing it?
That's a good one. That's really important to talk about because it's hard. It's not easy.
So uncomfortable. I can't seem to get comfy. That's why I keep moving. Comfy.
Dumpty.
Maybe I need to get a beanie. I'm talking like you tonight. I did get a beanie when I went to axe throwing on Friday night. We didn't ask how our weeks were.
No, we didn't. What did you do this week? Let's take a second.
Went axe throwing on Friday night.
It's pretty cool.
I love axe throwing.
Axe throwing's fun.
Yeah, I've been quite a few times now, and I thoroughly enjoy it every time. And this is the first time since getting my new glasses prescription, and I fucking slapped it.
Hit a few bullseyes.
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 It was good. And then quiet weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Oh gosh. Yeah. Busy week. So we're in the next week now. We've done that thing again where we're recording on a Monday night. That's what we're already in that next week. I threw my back out last week, so it was a slow going week for me last week. Recovering. Anyway, so no, same old. That's good. Yeah. Oh, we went to the markets on Saturday night, the Milton markets. Don't know. So it's just markets. So
okay, just like
just had like different stalls and then apparently it's usually a farmer's market, but when we went, it was just mainly it's just food. There was heaps of food. I got a bolognese cob loaf.
Oh,
and they were like, yeah, they're like, I don't know, the size of like maybe only like 10, 15 centimeters in diameter. Like a saucer. Yeah, about that size. So like not massive, but just like a perfect size with like different bits of like baguette bread cut up on the side, and yeah, cob loaf. How good is cob loaf?
Dude, cob is life.
Yeah. So no, it was really good. We had a great time, Taylor and I, when we went down to the market in Milton markets. Really good. Enjoyed it.
Cob loaf in ages.
You're gonna be craving it now. Yeah, the cheese and the sauce and the
guaranteed diarrhea. Worth it.
With all your lactose intolerance. Oh shit.
I'm pretty good with my lactose intolerance. Like I tend to, avoid dairy. Cheese, come on.
Cheese is good.
Cheese is good.
Cheese is good.
Anyway, back to
All
trauma
right.
dumping.
Trauma dumping. How do you stop trauma dumping?
Stop doing it, you dickhead.
I'll do my best.
So,
well, we talked about the signs. So, for example, if you have someone come up to you and all of a sudden all these signs are going off, what are we going to do?
So, like, wait, what? Wait, what way are you approaching this?
What do you mean? Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if I'm the person trauma dumping,
yeah,
and I'm giving off all these signs,
yeah.
I'm dumping a heap of trauma on you. I'm not interested in what you've got to say, and I just keep repeating myself about this same thing, and I really want your sympathies. How are you going to stop me from trauma
see, I was
dumping?
approaching it from the other side.
Like how will I stop myself from trauma dumping? We'll see.
We'll go with yours.
Well, I want to do both, but I think it's interesting for the person who's getting trauma dumped on, because it's a very delicate, is the right word, delicate way you've probably got to go about it, because as we talked about, it's probably an unhealthy coping mechanism. So anyway,
you can try being like delicate about it. Like, I've done this before where someone starts trauma dumping on you. Generally, people feel a lot more comfortable doing it via social media. So you'll cop like an absolute wall of text, and you're like, fuck, I've got to read this. And you go through and you read it, and it's like, cool. So the easiest way to kind of get away from that is to acknowledge what they've said and then change the topic.
Yeah.
Like, it's as simple as that.
That's perfect.
And if they...
That's delicate.
Yeah. It's like I could use the Tinder person. They messaged me. So this is an interesting story. They followed me on TikTok. They saw one of my TikTok videos and followed me on TikTok. And then they came across my Tinder profile and were like, oh. So they matched, and I was just like, oh, okay, hi. And they're like, oh, I've seen your TikToks. And I was like, oh, shit. And then it was literally like the fourth message. And it was just a wall of text about how they had moved from South Australia to Queensland, and the floods came and they lost their house and they had to fight their neighbours all the time, and their dog got sick and they had to put the dog down. They had to move back to South Australia. And it just it went on and on and on. Like, it just... And I might sit there reading it thinking, yeah, I'm going to do a bit of flirting here. Like, fuck yeah. And I was just like, I ain't fucking reading shit. I was like, I'm not flirting with this. Like, fuck me. So after the initial wall of text, I was like, I'm really sorry that happened to you. That must have been really stressful for you to experience that. But you're back in the saddle. So what do you get up to in your free time? And I was like, yeah, that was smooth as shit. Like that.
Very smooth.
But it gets better. They were like, oh, yeah, it was really hard to deal with. Normally, I like to... I forget what it was. I was going to say garden. I think it was gardening. I was like, normally I like to garden, but now it upsets me because I left all my favourite plants back in Queensland, and it reminds me about my dog, and my neighbours were always arguing with me when I'd be out in the garden. I was just like, like...
Goodness.
Like, this went on too. Like, it like, I put in solid effort to really like sway that conversation away from trauma dumping.
And it can give you a bit of anxiety too. Like, you don't want to open your phone up.
Yeah, you're like, what
am I going to... You don't want to check
next?
messages, like, so anyway. No, it's good example. Oh, well, what about then, how do you stop yourself from doing it?
Yourself an uppercut?
Yeah, left, right, good night. Yeah, I know, right? Such a good saying.
Better, I'll give you a bit of left, right, good night. So there's a couple of questions you'd want to ask yourself if you kind of realize that you, or maybe someone's pointed out that you're trauma dumping.
Yeah.
And those questions are, why am I sharing this experience? Who am I sharing it with? When and
It's
where
important.
are you sharing it?
Important.
How often have I talked about this event with this person or group?
Mm.
And what are some ways I can build trust and connection with others beyond sharing my trauma?
Yeah. That's
Because
really good.
it's all things that we've brought up already.
Yeah.
Kind of evaluating how long you've known somebody for before you start releasing intimate details about your life, and whether it's an appropriate setting. Like, are you at a fucking barbecue with your mates and you just start spilling your traumatic events? Been there,
Yeah.
experienced that. Really fucking big buzzkill. There was someone that used it as a way to grab attention. If they felt like they weren't getting
Yeah.
full attention at a social setting, it would be,
Yeah. Okay.
you're like,
Yeah. Look, it can be frustrating. But at the same time, again, like we've said, maybe they don't actually even know that they're doing it. To a degree. I mean, there's still some of that kind of, maybe, some people may not be that socially, I guess, inclined. They may not realize that sharing those sort of stories are, traumatic experiences that may trigger someone else as well. So there's just a lot of, I think, education that needs to come in around sharing those social situations. And it's it's time and a place. It's just the biggest thing there. It really is. And who with?
I think it also comes back to our topic from last week about self-awareness as well. If you don't have that self-awareness, you're not going to reflect like, why do I feel the need to share such a traumatic experience with someone that I barely know?
Yes.
Important thing to have, as we mentioned, for like 40 minutes last week.
Very important. Yeah, so if there's anything you take away from the today, self-awareness for your trauma dumping. If you do know someone who's trauma dumping on you, maybe figure out a nice way to navigate around it, change the topic. Don't disregard it, but, let them know that you should. Maybe we don't have to let them know, but just try and change the subject, try and steer the conversation elsewhere, and as always, point them in the right direction of someone who may be a little bit more equipped to talk about that sort of trauma with them. So
I think one of the things we didn't bring up just real quickly, like, is something we brought up before in the I don't remember what episode it was called now, but being on the receiving end of trauma dumping, if you feel like you are being trauma dumped on and you're not like really sure what you should be doing, like Caleb said, like, acknowledge it, like, try to move away from it, but also don't take it on. Like, don't take that person's trauma and let it affect you. It may be hard because some people are willing to share some very intimate details, and it's quite, it can be quite unsettling. It'll put a heavy load on your mental health, but it's important to definitely try to not take those things on board. Just acknowledge it and say, "Yep, I'm really sorry that happened to you," but try not to let it, take its burden on you too, because
no, you do not. Very well done.
Your turn this week after my abysmal.
Yeah, Christian's fired. He's never allowed to introduce the sponsors for the podcast again. And the fabulous guy that recorded the sponsorship for us was very, very upset that he thought he was me. So without further ado, here's a word from our sponsors. The Pain in Our Head podcast is proudly sponsored by Music Magic Co. and Brisbane rock band The Flying Circus. Visit the links in the podcast description for more information. Back to the show. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Pain in Our Head podcast. We've been talking about trauma dumping and the kind of differences. Trauma dumplings. We talked about dumplings. We talked about fried rice. We talked about some awesome food, cob loaf. We talked about the difference between venting and trauma dumping and some ways to work around it as well. So it's been a really good chat. But we're going to talk about not looking up the what?
Pub. So I can order a dinner.
So you can order a dinner. Get a cob loaf. We're going to talk about music as we always do. So we're going to get a short music chat this week because we went well and truly over time on our mental health segment. But we got some pretty cool songs. I've got one of my favourite songs of all time that I will be speaking about. Very excited. And I got a song that I found before we started recording the podcast, and it conveniently enough ties in really well to our topic that we've been talking about this week. Quite a fun song. So
I enjoyed the shit out of that.
Yeah, so did I. I was surprised. Might start with that one. It's called Trauma Dump. By Scotty Sire. It came out in 2023. It's only fairly new. Off of the Trauma Dump album. It's a really cool idea, really, when you think about it. Because a lot of music, albums, it's a way of trauma dumping.
It is.
Yeah, but it's been done in a way that it's not so. I don't know.
There's heaps of songs doing it out there that
directly at one person.
Where they just, it's like, like this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool. It makes a good song. I don't care, but
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it makes a good story.
It's trauma dumping.
It is trauma dumping. So yeah, Trauma Dump by Scotty Sire. It was funny. I thought it was great. The lyrics, I couldn't really put it into a style or a genre.
No.
And there's a lot of it doesn't even really. Not even really. The vocals aren't really it's not really sung. The chorus is. There's some
electronic
verse parts. Yeah. But the chorus is fun. Like, it's catchy. Yeah, I'm actually really keen to add this to the playlist so that I can listen to it at work. And yeah. But funny lyrics. I'm trying to find some lyrics that I thought were pretty funny. I think that the chorus, it's just, I'm fucked up, but I'm not special. We're all fucked up on some level. Who fucked you up? Who made you saddy? I love your trauma dump. You're my little baddie. It's done really well. That's funny. That's funny to me. Great song. Check it out. I'm going to throw it up on the Pain in Our Head podcast playlist. Trauma Dump by Scotty Sire. What a name.
Rob Squire from Pendulum.
Ooh, yeah, Pendulum. We haven't talked about a Pendulum song. How have we gone 20 fucking episodes without talking about a Pendulum song? That's our goal for next week. That's what our topic is for next week. We're just going to talk about Pendulum. 50 minutes.
Dude, we could. Did you know that Rob Squire has massive anxiety?
Really? Yeah, okay.
Super bad stage anxiety.
Yeah. A lot of artists do. It's scary. A lot to do. You wouldn't even have thought it. Freddie Mercury, petrified.
Winston from Parkway Drive, the lead singer of Parkway Drive.
Yeah. Yep.
Couldn't face the audience.
Yeah. Yep.
Ever.
Now
look at him.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's really cool. Anyway, it's your song. You've known your song for a. Did you figure it out?
No, not today. I just told you about it today.
Okay.
I figured it out for a while. When I came up with the topic. I was like, yeah, it's a fucking.
Yeah.
So my song is "Cry Baby Cry" by Royal Republic. It's not
good song. Not something you would normally listen to.
I love early Royal Republic.
Okay.
Really catchy stuff, like
Yeah.
very boppy, like poppy kind of.
Very alt pop rock.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really cool.
Really, really
Yep.
cool. The whole album that it comes off of is amazing. I feel like it's 21st Century Man is the name of the album.
Okay.
Underwear, Full Steam Space Machine, Tommy Gun, Cry Baby Cry, all amazing songs, all off that album. And then the next album that came out was really good. But anyway, so Cry Baby Cry, not essentially about trauma dumping, but like over venting and like oversharing. I mean, I'm having an absolute mind fart on the lyrics right now.
I like my favorite part was, so what's the story today? Is it a broken nail, or is it just your lack of sleep again? I loved when that got to that line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't have to tell me about your fever because I already know. I know before we even say hello. Stop, take a look in the mirror. Is it really that bad? Or could you just let it in, let it out? Cry, baby, cry. It's like, you get to the point with some people where they just tell everyone everything. And it's like your friend circle finds out before they even get to them. It's like
Yeah.
I know about your sickness that you've got because you fucking told everyone already. Like,
yeah.
So not necessarily trauma dumping, but a very similar message about liberation is key when it comes to sharing certain aspects of your life.
Yeah. Great chorus. It's a fun song, very upbeat. Yeah, it is. It's just it is really like I would almost say the poster boy for alternative pop rock.
Yeah,
just
if you looked at them
all
too,
the
you
elements.
just like, damn it.
Yep.
Yeah. And their video clips.
Yeah. It just fits that style. It's just what it is. It's really good.
You need to watch the video
cool
to Underwear after this.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to have a look.
Either that or Full Steam Space, but both, just both. Full Steam Space Machine and Underwear, yeah. While I go get dinner.
Deal. Sounds good. One last song. I haven't brought up a See the song since our first episode, so 19 episodes ago. But if you're only just listening to this episode for the first time, one of my favorite all-time bands is Seether. And off of their most recent album, on disc 2 of, now I'm not going to say this right.
Who the fuck gets discs anymore?
I do. I go into the store and I buy the CDs of all of, like, so I've got all of Seether's albums, like the CDs. They released this album as just the first, like, a one CD album. I went and bought that. Then they announced that they were releasing a second disc, and then I went and bought the 2-pack, like the first and second. So I've got 2 copies of, anyway. Yeah, I know. How cool am I? Anyway, I can't say it. I think it's Si Ves Passum Parabellum. I can't even tell you what it means. Anyway, it's a mouthful. That's the album. It's called Deliver Me, that song. Great song. Really good song. And it talks about, and same as the last song, it's not necessarily trauma dumping per se, but there's a lot of talk about, I guess, just, maybe oversharing or not talking enough, and sort of just, instead of talking through a conversation, maybe just throwing accusations or throwing a heap of trauma into that particular conversation. So yeah, I really like it. From the first line, it's when you throw your message in my face, that sort of thing. What else? Yeah, it's just a great song. Good song.
If you want peace, prepare for war.
Good line.
That's what the pronounce. That's what it is. Sci-Vi's
Oh, yes. Oh,
Heard
the
Bailey.
album. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. That's what it translates to. I can't remember. I can't remember what.
Latin.
Is it Latin? Yeah, that's what it is. Latin. Yeah. So.
Parabellum, not parabellum.
Bellu. That's how it's pronounced. Yeah, it's very tricky thing to say.
Yeah, Latin's
Yeah,
fucked.
so no, really cool, really good song. Another lyric that I really like: "Are you the deceiver or blessed preacher?" Yeah, so it just really talks about just trauma dumping, really, in a sense, or throwing out all that conversation that other person probably doesn't want to hear about. So anyway, just like Christian doesn't want to hear about any of these songs. All right, that's enough for me. I'm finished. Yeah. You gotta go feed the bear. Don't poke the bear. What are we talking about next week? Yeah, you had longer than 55 minutes to come up with something.
Didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. That's all right. I had an idea and I completely forgot.
Heaps of things that we could talk about, but
yeah, we should really talk about social media and mental health.
You reckon?
There's so much body image, all that sort of thing. We haven't really.
Yeah, fucking why not?
We haven't really cracked into that.
The effects of social media.
Yeah,
we've touched on it in like multiple topics, like doom scrolling, and then today,
yeah,
like people's perceptions of us and shit like that.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and how you see yourself. Yeah, all right, lock it in
next week.
Great. Yeah, next week. Thanks for listening to the Pain in Our Head podcast this week. We appreciate all the fantastic messages that we do get. Please leave a comment on the YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you very much. We see all the. I do look at all the streams and stuff that we get. We have, for some reason, we have a lot of listeners over in America, which is fantastic. I don't know why you want to listen to a couple of Aussie blokes talk about this sort of crap, but anyway, that's great. Thank you for listening.
But they're on Spotify, so
yeah, it's all the streams. Yeah,
it's just for my smooth, sexy voice.
The Australian accent. I don't know.
Oh yeah, nah, fucking let's go. Let's go.
Settle down there, sassy.
All I can see is that goddamn Instagram reel.
It's a good reel. That's great.
Do it, Donny.
Yeah. Anyone of that pity bucks?
What are you talking
about? If that's gone over your head, look up the Big Les Show on YouTube. You will be forever grateful. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. It's okay to not be okay.